in the time before memory carved itself into stone, when the river still hummed with old names and the mountains practiced silence, there lived a shapeshifter named Kaelis. Kaelis was born to no fixed flesh. One dawn they rose as a silver fox, nose twitching at the scent of frost. By noon they were a heron, stitching the sky with long-legged patience. By dusk, a grandmother carved from river-smoothed oak, telling stories to children who did not know that the old woman's voice was the same as the fox's bark. Kaelis loved the freedom more than sunlight, and that was the first crack in the vessel. One evening, as they perched as a raven on the shoulder of the mountain called Whispertooth, the oldest wind spoke to them. The wind had no mouth, only a sound like a door closing inside the earth. It said, "Shapeshifter, you have worn 700 skins in 700 days. But there is a law you have forgotten." Kaelis ruffled black feathers. "I know no law." "Then listen," said the wind. "Any being who changes form more times than there are stars in the winter sky must choose one shape for 100 consecutive days. If you fail, every form you have ever worn will forget you, and you will forget them. You will become a hollow thing, a ripple without a pond. The promise is simple: 100 days, one flesh, then all forms return to you, richer than before." Kaelis laughed, and the laugh became a wolf's howl, then a girl's giggle, then rain. 100 days in one body, that is not freedom, that is a cage. But the wind did not argue. It simply faded, leaving behind a single white seed in the raven's claw. Kaelis ignored the seed. They became a salmon and leaped the waterfalls of Sorrow's Gorge. They became a candle flame and danced on a widower's table until dawn. They became a stone in a river and felt the water's patient fingers shape them. Each change was sweet as stolen honey. But on the 800th night of their wandering, Kaelis tried to become an owl and found something strange. They could not remember the shape of a wing. They tried to become a fern and forgot the taste of light. Panic opened a cold hand in their chest. They ran, as a deer, as a hare, as a spark, back to the place where the wind had spoken. The mountain Whispertooth was silent, but the white seed had grown into a small thornless bush, and on it hung a single fruit, like a drop of frozen moon. "Eat," whispered the wind, now faint as a sigh. "Or forget everything." Kaelis ate, and the moment the fruit touched their tongue, they became locked in the last form they had worn. A young woman with river-brown skin, hair like wet moss, and hands that had never held a sword or built a fire. She sat down at the base of the mountain and wept. Day 1. She was a woman, and she hated it. Her knees ached. She could not taste the wind's history, or feel the earth's slow turning through her paws. She shouted at the sky. The sky did not answer. Day 10. Hunger taught her to dig roots with a sharpened stick. Cold taught her to rub 2 pieces of deadwood until smoke became a friend. Loneliness taught her the names of nearby birds, not to become them, but to listen. A finch sang "Sweet, sweet, sweet, where, and for the first time, Kaelis did not answer with a finch's trill. She answered with her human voice. The finch tilted its head and flew closer. Day 20. A wolf passed near her shelter, and Kaelis felt the old urge like a hook in her ribs. She almost reached for the wolf's shape, but her hand stayed human. Instead, she watched. She watched the wolf yawn, scratch an ear, and trot away. And she realized she had never simply watched before. She had always become. The wolf's life remained a mystery to her. That night she drew the wolf in ash on a flat stone, and the drawing was terrible, but it was hers. Day 45. She met a hunter named Yarrow, who did not know she had once been a fish and a flame and a grandmother oak. He offered her half a roasted hare. She ate it with her fingers. He asked, "Are you lost?" She said, "I am waiting." He did not ask for what. Day 60. Yarrow taught her to weave baskets from willow. Her fingers fumbled. The 3rd basket held water. She laughed, and the laugh did not change into anything else. It was just a laugh. That laugh was the first thing in 60 days that felt more like a gift than a loss. Day 80. She dreamed of the fox, of the heron, of the raven. She woke reaching for feathers that were not there, but the ache had softened. In the dream the fox had not looked sad. It had looked at her calmly, as if to say, "You are learning what we are when we are not changing." Day 99. Yarrow took her to the summit of Whispertooth. Below, the valley spread like a quilt of rivers and shadow. "Tomorrow you will leave," he said. It was not a question. She nodded. He touched her hand once, then walked back down. Kaelis sat alone on the mountain as the sun fell. She thought of the 700 skins. She thought of the 1,000 moments she had slipped from one life to another, never staying for the boredom, the heartbreak, the slow miracle of a single season inside one pair of eyes. She had been afraid that being still meant dying. But the mountain had not moved in 10,000 years, and it was more alive than she had ever been. The stars came out. She counted them, not to fulfill a condition, but because they were beautiful. Day 100. Dawn broke like an egg of gold. Kaelis stood, stretched her human arms and felt something unlock in her chest. Not a flood of forms, not yet. A quiet knock. The wind returned, older and younger at once. "You have kept the promise," it said. "You may change now, if you wish." Kaelis closed her eyes. She called the fox. Her bones tingled. She called the heron. Her shoulders ached with the ghost of wings. She could feel them all, waiting like a wardrobe of beautiful clothes. She opened her eyes, looked down at her brown hands, the same hands that had dug roots, woven baskets, touched Yarrow's knuckles, and drawn a wolf in ash. "Not yet," she said to the wind. "Why?" "Because," said Kaelis, "I promised 100 days, but no one said I couldn't promise more." She walked down the mountain, human-shaped, and found Yarrow mending a net by the river. He looked up. She sat beside him. "I'm staying," she said. He didn't ask why. He only moved aside to make room on the stone. And somewhere inside Kaelis, the fox curled its tail over its nose and slept. The heron tucked its head beneath a wing. The grandmother oak let its roots go deep. They were not lost. They were only waiting. For 100 days or 100 lifetimes, what is a shape, if not a promise you keep? And that is why the old ones say, you should never mock a single skin. The fox dreams of the woman who chose to stay, and the woman dreams of the fox, and somewhere between them is the place where freedom learns to love its chains.